we're going to make Grandma Warfel's famous apple crisp recipe. Now, most grandmas recommend that you use a Granny Smith apple when you're making apple crisp, but I wanted to try a Honeycrisp apple and see if a sweeter apple would help me use less sugar when I made the crisp. So that's what we're doing today. I need 8 apples and I need to get these peeled. Now, if your family does not mind a peel in their apple crisp, then you can go ahead and leave that on. And my family gets real persnickety if I leave a peel on the apple when I make apple crisp or apple pie or anything like that. So I am going to peel all of these apples. When I'm peeling an apple, I like to go around and see if I can get it all in one piece. But you can do it any way you like. I just find this way a little bit easier. I think it's faster and it's a lot more fun. To be honest with you, I never really made a lot of apple desserts because I didn't like taking the time to peel apples, but it really does not take as long as I thought. And if you've got a couple of kids, you can get these apples peeled in 5 minutes flat. So once you get your apples all peeled, we need to chop those up and put them into the pan. I like to cook my apples on the stove for a little bit first because I want them to be soft. And sometimes when you bake an apple crisp, your apples are still a little crunchy. To my apples, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and we're going to cook those just for a few minutes until they start to soften. They don't have to get really soft because it's going to go into the oven for another hour. I just want to take a little bit of the crunch off. It looks like our apples are starting to cook and you see this nice brown syrupy sauce, which is fantastic. While those apples are cooking, let's go ahead and make up our crisp topping. To make up our crisp topping, we're going to need some flour, some rolled oats or some quick oats, some brown sugar, a little bit of salt, and then we need to add in our plant butter. I'm again using Country Crock plant butter because it's super easy to find here where I live. You need to mix everything together before you add your butter. Once you've got your dry ingredients all mixed, go ahead and add chunks of your plant butter and use one of these. You can use one of these pastry cutters that I'm using, but if you don't have one, that's fine. You could use a fork or a knife or just use your hands and get in there and break up all that butter and make sure all of that flour is coated with the butter. I like to add nuts to this, so I'm going to throw in some pecans, but walnuts would be really good here. I'm going to set this aside and go check on our apples. Ooh, it looks like our apples are looking pretty good. I want to thicken these apples up a little bit, so I'm going to add some cornstarch to a little bit of water and make a slurry. And I'm going to pour that into our apples, and I'm going to stir that until it gets nice and thick. It needs to cook for a couple of minutes like that. You can see it thickening up there. That looks great. I'm going to take it off of the heat, and I'm going to add just a smidge of vanilla. This was a trick that Grandma Warfel always did and added a little bit of vanilla to her apples. I'm going to pour this into a sprayed 9x13 pan. All right, our apples are in our pan. It looks like I probably should have done a couple more apples. My apples may have been a little too small. But this is still going to taste great. I'm going to go ahead and add my crumble topping to the top. And then we're going to put that in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. You're going to know it's done when it starts to bubble up on the sides. I can't wait. Ooh, our apple crisp is ready to eat. I am so excited. This is one of my favorites. This is so good. If you're looking for some more family-friendly, plant-based and vegan recipes, then check out my playlist right here.